Okay, so it's a bright sunny day here in Southern California, and I thought it was a good opportunity to show my fabulous Far East family just what it looks like in the late spring in LA, in our yard anyway. So over here is kind of the hospital ward or the beginning spot for where we're putting in anything. We're in the very backyard, which, as you can see, looks much like the desert. Except, of course, for where I have treated the soil and put in my gardens. But anyway, here's our lonely little apple tree. But look, there's little baby apples on there. Pretty soon, we'll have some fruit. Over in the back, of course, we have tomato row. All different kinds of big boys, big girls, BBs, whatever variety of big, fat, red, juicy tomatoes along the back fence there. And then we have the gardens, all of the gardens on this side of the yard. So over here we have the pumpkin patch, which thanks to some help from some Instagram friends, I have, I think, curbed, if not cured, that horrible moldy whatever it was. But you can see there's pumpkins in there. Yay! There's a couple of other ones, a little bit smaller than that one. But anyway, there's the pumpkin patch. And then this actually doesn't look like much, but there's really potatoes under there. You're supposed to let the greeny plant dry. So that actually looks just like it's supposed to. And I've actually dug out a few red bliss already, and they actually are very good. There's our tangelo, towering tangelo tree. Tiny, tiny little beds are on it, but it's really hard to see them. Oh, there you go. There's a little tiny, that's gonna be a tangelo one day, a couple of months from now. And then over here, lots of empty space, pineapple, tomato, some peppers, some eggplant, and then we got the corn and some more tomatoes. Those are those golden pear tomatoes I was telling you about on the phone, Mom. And then some cabbage and a few random little leftover. There's some radishes, and there was a couple of extra corn plants when I put them in down the other end, so I just stuck them in there because I had space. And then we've got undecided yet if I'm going to get rid of this thing or not. I'm not sure if I can save it, but it's not yet met its destiny. It was a cantaloupe, I think. I think it was random out of my compost bed, compost soils. There's random seeds in there every now and then. My raspberries, some green beans that have been harvested like 4 times already, so they may actually be at the end of their life. My watermelons, which have yet to do anything, and some more really badly damaged squashy stuff from that powdery mildew, I think is what someone said it was. Anyway, my bee balm in its bucket. I'm going to probably put that in the yard. But oh, there's the composter again, Mom. I was telling you about the thing that spins. So it's really heavy when it gets full. So we usually fill it about halfway and then let it do its thing, germinate, get treated, and all of that. So that is the backyard where we do basically all of the growing of things except for grass. So then you come in this way through the pool yard, and this is where we're doing more of our like flower type of gardening. The snapdragons aren't very happy right now, but they come and they go. It seems like we're having the most success with sunflowers of all sorts of various shapes and sizes. They seem to like this spot, so we've got a whole bunch of different ones going. I had thrown just a mix of some kind of wildflower mix seeds in here, so there's all kinds of little random things, and then things that we had planted or bulbs that we had put in, so it's just sort of like a little bit of a mixed bag over here. And I just got this like 2 weeks ago, that beautiful black. I just love it. It's like velvet too. The petals are so soft. And this is where we had the sweet pea garden that now is gone, but we're going to turn that soil and put sunflowers in there too. And just a bunch of Aunt Pat's miscellaneous pretties over here trying to hide the pool filter. And of course, some more tomatoes. Those are Aunt Pat's patio tomatoes. And then that was the monster beast tomato plant that ended up being the worm infested thing that it was, but I think I have finally curbed that, so Aunt Pat likes to put things in pots, so we have lots of pots of everything. This is Aunt Pat's little shaded patio right outside of her bedroom, so it's got beautiful little gardens all around and lots of shady spots for her to sit before we creep into the herb garden, which is the last vestiges of gardens before you come to the concrete jungle. So this is the middle yard with the pool where we just came out of that gate over there from the back gardens. And oh, I guess I should point out the man cave. We walked right by it and I didn't even say anything, but so this is our little area where we sit and smoke outside and get in some shade, and then of course the man cave where all things manly happen and no one comes out alive. And a few more little plants. And the built-in barbecue that John converted ever so skillfully by putting the gas grill right into the built-in barbecue. So we have basically kind of a like little outdoor kitchen sort of thing going on out here. So back to heading through to the herb garden, which has seen better days, but also worse. And I don't know what the deal is. Some things like pots, some things don't. Some things like the ground, some things don't. So we're still experimenting with all of that and what levels of sun and shade everything get and all those things. But ooh, sorry if I made you dizzy there. That, however, seems to love wherever it is. Rosie the rosemary gigunda. So that covers the back yard. And actually, I'm going to pause here for 1 minute. Okay. So now we'll just take a quick little walk up the driveway and around to the front of the house, which, look at that, daylilies. Makes me think of Gima's daylilies on Sunset Ave. They don't get as tall, although they might get taller, I suppose, but this is about as tall as they get here so far this year. I don't know if they'll get any bigger as the summer goes on, but they're certainly not the 6-footers like we had out there. And this is that problematic area that we have just not been able to figure out what will survive the really super hot, intensive sun right out here in the front. So we've got this baby orange tree that probably 5 years from now will provide some pretty decent shade right out here in this area. And you can see that the way the sun comes over the house, there's a little bit of an overhang for shade, but for the most part, this one spot is pretty much brutally in this bright summer sun. Excuse me. These little guys love it though. They're like little desert roses. I don't know, they're kind of like a cross between a rose and a succulent, but I just put those in and now all of a sudden they're starting to thrive. So it looks like stuff like that is going to like it out here. But for the most part, we're better off in pots. Things get better water coverage and better soil nutrients and all of that if they just stay in their little pots. Some things like it, some things don't. I don't know, I'm thinking about putting this big guy right up inside that little frame thing. Haven't done that yet, but I just put in those dahlias. I love those colors. And then we have some more tomatoes, like we need that, right? But it was actually just a rogue tomato plant that popped up in that pot, so I said, well, I might as well keep it. More potatoes. These are about halfway through the growing cycle, like the ones we saw in the back had the plants that were all dead. That means the potatoes are ready. These ones are about halfway there. And then that's just a random couple of bulbs, potted little whatever, I don't know, some kind of lilies or something. And some other potted flowers that we just thought would dress it up out here until we, in fact, put back in. Aunt Pat had roses out here my whole life growing up. So there's one little lonely guy here, but eventually we're going to fill this whole thing back in with rose bushes like she had when I was growing up. So for now, things are just kind of out there to give it a little bit of color and keep the spot warm. So there's the front yard. So any ideas for things that will survive this like high desert heat that we get out in front would be grand. Talk to you later.